What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the GASO cast. Today I'm your host, unfortunately, Michael Timmons. I was sick for 86 days, so I got some making up to do on this. So I'm going to make it a banger. We got Gaso Linden, Gaso Blue. What's up, fellas?
What's
What's
up?
going on, Michael?
Before we get started, shout out to our sponsor, Clutch Shots. This episode is brought to you by Clutch Shots AI, the first ever smart highlight creator. Whether you're an athlete, proud parent, coach, or organization, Clutch Shots AI makes creating pro quality sports highlights fast, easy, and unforgettable. With cutting edge AI, you can capture, reframe, and share your best moments in seconds, all optimized for social media. Say goodbye to the hours of editing and hello to instant eye catching highlights. Ready to elevate your game? Download Clutch Shots AI app today and revolutionize your highlights with a 2-week free trial. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Shout out to Clutch Shots. I didn't know if I knew how to read, and so that was a lot of pressure. But I got it done. So we're really popping now. Before we get into the meat of the Gaso cast, some housekeeping. Lyndon, you're cranking out these Gaso fast break newsletters. Rankings have come out. So there's no better time now. As excited as we are for rankings, we get even more excited for the playoffs. So we're going to talk a lot of pre-playoff talk today, but there's going to be even more than the newsletter. So subscribe to that. Next Gen Showcase is coming March 2nd. Over 100 signups already. I think we're taking close to 200 kids. And if y'all have been following the social media, I mean, every couple days I'm posting a new update of new killers that are signing up. Right now, I think we have 4 or 5 states represented. Plenty of media are already asking me when they can fill out their media request form, which you know how GASO is. We accept everybody and approve all media. So it's going to be the place to be March 2nd. For anybody in the state of Texas in the classes of 27s, 28s, and 29s, we're excited to see you. The GASO schedule's been out for a minute now. We're talking to a lot of coaches. We're going to start making some announcements on King of the Court, which is our first event, March 15th. Blue, you've been working the phones, and we have some high-level commitments from high-level teams and players ready to get out there and get on the grassroots circuit. So make sure you are asking, as you're looking for a team to play this year, make sure you're asking, are you playing in GASO? Because you know GASO advocates for you, unlike anybody. So that's going to be here quick. We're already in freaking mid-February. It's about to be on and popping. So, and then finally, we're very proud to bring the GASO app, our 6A and 5A Division 1 and 2 playoff brackets. I think tomorrow, Lyndon, we're going to post a social media post on X asking for coaches, teams, parents to help us with their playoff schedules so we can start to populate that that app. So let's get to it. We start.
I can just jump in for a second
Yeah.
here. It's gonna take some time, and we're ready for the challenge of this new small and big school bracket. And yeah, so any help or assistance which y'all have given in the past, the high school coaches, and even just the fans in general, just always tag us on everything, and we'll get that thing updated, and it will be ready before next week.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is like if you're gonna tag us in something with your schedule, make sure you let us know if you're Division 1 or Division 2. That's a big part of this equation. Each week we start off with a roundtable discussion. And this week the roundtable discussion is going to be what's a storyline this week you're looking to as the playoffs and the seedings loom. So Lyndon, I'll start with you just because I mean when you talk playoffs in general, man, like you honestly this year have kept me like informed because you just know how this thing works with all the seeding and stuff. So what are you looking forward to?
So obviously, we're going to talk a lot about the Division 1, Division 2 split that's going to happen, and you guys are going to touch a little bit more on that. But specifically, I don't know if there's 3 bigger, implication games across the state when we're talking about state titles being on the line and contenders moving up or down in divisions than what's going on in District 11 tonight. You got Kimball versus Carter. That's for the district championship. Carter can win and force a tie at the top and split the district championship with Kimball. But what's going on under them? Right now, Dallas Roosevelt and Dallas Lincoln hold the 3rd and 4th spots. They are both smaller than Dallas Carter, putting Carter in the Division 1 bracket, basically. Dallas Pinkston is larger than Carter. They're still alive. They play North Dallas tonight, A win for Pinkston and a loss for Lincoln would set up a play-in game where Dallas Carter could still be on the fence, could be moving up to Division One, could be moving down to Division Two. But for right now, if they go D1 with Kimball, that just blows the Region Two small bracket wide open, and not just in Region Two. This is going to be a game that a lot of people across the state have their eyes on, because it does take a top 5 team and puts them in this large division, and makes things a lot easier for those who would go D2 if that ends up being the case.
Oh my gosh. I think the funniest thing is
yeah.
we were like, hey, help us out by helping us populate this app, and people are like, we have no idea either. It's going to be a process, but there's so much parity in this. Like, we're just going to sit back and watch, and there's just, I mean, then what's the advice we always give? If that confused you, just win, right?
Yep.
Just win. Blue, what do you look?
Go ahead. Hey, I've gotten a phone call on it. I've gotten a phone call on it from across the state of like, well, what do you think's going to happen on Tuesday night? I don't know. They're going to play. I don't think anybody's going to purposely lose or purposely sit players just to get that, just to get that scenario and everybody really talking. So, but leading into mine, I mean, I'm kind of on the same path as Lyndon here, is because the small school, big school, I mean, as we know, you actually take away one extra game, one game less as you make it through the playoffs. I think that obviously there's a lot of scenarios that have to play out this week for us to really see the brackets and how it could line up for the entirety of it. And I think that the playoffs just have a different feel this year. And I think that we're really trying to find a little bit of like that sweet spot where we can just kind of sit back and go, okay, let me look at the bracket and kind of guess this out, because there's so many things going on in each district. Even though somebody might be leading their district and they're going to be first place, but really, yes, you want to win the district title, but at the same time, you're also thinking about this big school, small school stuff, and I think that plays a little bit on to what our next steps are as we get into the playoff bracket. And I'm just like you. I read the GASO Fast Break that Lyndon has broken down the big and small schools, and that really has kept us fresh in knowing what the next steps may be.
Yeah, for me, I'm as confused as ever, and I'm barely good enough to even know who's in what region and districts at this point. And it's just going to get crazier and crazier. But what I do know is if we're looking at the girls' side of things right now, they are starting playoffs. And my sister's the assistant coach at Wagner, the number 1 5A team in TABC in the state. And tonight, their opening round playoff is against the number 2 TABC team in the state in Leander Glen. So if that's any foreshadowing to how this thing is going to look for the boys, buckle up, because your reward for being a district champion just might be some smoke that you really weren't anticipating. So good luck to both of those teams. But my biggest thing is once these brackets start to fill out, where are we going to see our first shot of fireworks? Is that going to be a first round matchup? Is that going to be second round where 2 state contenders are going at it? That's what I'm really curious about. For me, it's going to, like, the bracket is almost unveiling just like a March Madness. Like, even though you could probably kind of go paint who's going to be where, you're not going to know till you see it in front of you and see what that path's going to look like. So I'm super excited, but there's just so much basketball to play before we even get there, which is crazy because it's next week.
Yeah.
Speaking of playoffs, a playoff scouting nightmare. Who's one player across the state that it's just almost impossible for a coach to scout them and like prepare for them for one game? Lyndon, who's that player for you?
Yeah, I'm going to go just because of what we saw from him last year in their run to a state championship, and that's DJ Hall from Plano East. One of the most physical scorers on the interior that we have in the state, can shoot it, is so effective around the basket. And, even though they lost all of those seniors, they've put together a nice, supporting cast around him who can knock down shots, feed him the ball, and just let him go to work. And he's a guy that, just because he's so talented, so physical, and just versatile with his offensive skill set, that's somebody that I would not want to be game planning for Monday or Tuesday next week.
Yeah, thanks. Blue, how about you?
Terrell Jackson from Dallas Carter. I mean, you're talking about a freshman a 6'7", 6'8" freshman that as you go through playoffs and year by year, you go, oh, that's the top player over here on this team and on that team. But when you're preparing for a freshman in big time situations like this for Dallas Carter, talking to Lyndon Love, I mean, he has a dynamic post player here that can play a little bit inside out. You're going to have to be able to match up athletically with him. You can probably be a little physical with him, but however, he's so like sleek, and he's able to get to the basket and go score. And if he's on defensive side of the ball, he can go be the weak side defender. He's averaging 13 points, 8 rebounds a game, 2 blocks. There's so many things that he brings to the court on a nightly basis, is that you're going to have to find somebody that's going to have to be really physical and keep him away from the basket, because that's really where he's going to do most of his damage.
No, absolutely. I mean, that says a lot when you're saying like a freshman. Like, that's how good of a season he's having. And he'll be at the GASO Next Gen Showcase, barring a state playoff run. That's what I'd tell a lot of people right now. A lot of these top prospects, hey, I hope you can't make it. I hope because you have state to prepare for. For me, my guy is Billy White, Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial. A high school coach actually called me. He was like, so is he the real deal? I'm like, absolutely. The thing with Billy is at 6'8", 6'9", you almost have to approach it as he's a no-touch prospect, because if you let him catch the ball, he can shoot over the top of you with the quickest release there is. I filmed him earlier this season. I could barely follow him when the ball was released out of his hands. And the hardest thing to game plan, like there's a lot of good defenders out there, but if you have to mentally wrap your mind around, if he catches the ball, he's open because of how tall he is and how quick the release is, that's just something that's just unfair for a lot of teams to try to do. And he gets these shots up and he's knocking shots down at the highest level. And it's just, you're going to look at him at 6'9" and be like, let's make him do something else. And he's going to do whatever he wants. So Billy White down there in Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial is just good luck scouting that. Our next segment, as we continue to roll into the playoffs, who's hot? A team right now that, whether it's a district streak or has come out of nowhere or just continues to do what they're supposed to be doing, but are peaking at the right time. Blue, let's start with you on this one.
Man, District 29, 6A, we're going into the final week here, and East Central's already done playing at 9-3 in the district. Judson has won 8 out of their last 9 during this stretch of district play, and they're sitting at 8-3, along with Clemens and Cibolo Still. Like, anybody can. I'm not sure what the exact breakdown is. That's for Lyndon to find out, right?
Do you have any insight on that right now, Lyndon?
There's a lot of different directions. There's too many moving parts for me to make a prediction on yet.
Respect.
Because Judson plays Clemens tonight. So if Clemens winds up winning, well, then that bumps Judson, I believe, down to 4th, and then they become 2nd in Division 2. We're talking about Converse Judson, who is one of the largest schools in the nation. All of a sudden is going to be in Division 2 small school playoff bracket. That blows my mind. But anyway, so we if you know a little bit of the scenario that's going on there, I mean, you're looking at Judson, one of the hottest teams in San Antonio. Noe Cantu made the schedule very heavy on the non-district side of things. They took a lot of bumps and bruises. They're 16-15 overall, 8-3 in district. But yet they're going to go and play the Valley, the Laredo side of the bracket, and probably wind up in a 3rd-round matchup between an Austin Westlake Stony Point. And then we know in playoffs anything can happen, but you're looking at a team that has built confidence, has built up wins on their resume now, and that are doing everything right, led by the scoring leader of Elijah Favela. Then, of course, Ivan Doran. He takes all of the inside game, and he's a shot blocker, a rebounder, he runs the floor, rim runner, finisher, all those kinds of things. And right now it's a recipe that's really working, along with the rest of the team playing very well.
You know what I love about this segment? We watch so much basketball, including, live. We cover the state. That's the GASO motto. We cover the state. And all 3 of these teams that we're talking about, we've watched them live put up some real stinkers. And we've seen them early, and I think it's great to talk about teams to where, we see the roller coaster that is a high school basketball season. So we see some teams that play at their best and at their worst, but it's great to see a team like Judson, who we've seen multiple times this season, figure it out. And this team right here, Lyndon, is another one that, we've seen every style of basketball they can play, and
Yeah.
luckily, right now, I'm glad that you're talking about them now, and they should be glad too. Who is that?
Yeah, I just hope that nobody forgot about the Colony, because when you're discussing the 5A, they're the preseason number one team in our rankings, and they've got more talent on their roster than probably 99% of the teams in the state. Um, they've got dudes for every position, and they started out. Obviously Xavier Green missing a ton of time from injury. Um, you know, there's been minor bumps and bruises for uh, Dakari and Bryce along the way, and it's been a rough year through tournament season for them. They lose to Highland Park and Lone Star pretty early in district, but now they've won 8 in a row. They've avenged both of those losses. They're tied with Highland Park for the district title right now. And this team, like, seriously, to go from preseason number one to out of the rankings in our last drop, I think they're peaking at the right time. They've figured out, they've cracked the code. They've got their chemistry back. This team was playing Lancaster in a 2-point game last year in the regional finals in 5A, and that's your eventual state champions, Lancaster. This team, I really think that people, if they thought, they lost such and such game to a team that they should beat a month or two ago, this team is different from what they were back then, because they have the horses to make a deep run, and they're as talented as anybody in Class 5A. And going Division II, that Colleen Ellison, the Colony hypothetical matchup for with a trip to state or a trip to the regional finals on the line, that's going to be electric.
Oh wow, man. For me, Pflugerville Weiss. We're used to Pflugerville Weiss making some noise down there, and they started off 0-3 in district. I actually walked out of a game, and I can say that because I'm good friends with Coach Brandon Green, but I felt terrible. Were playing so bad that I didn't even say bye to his pregnant wife. I just walked out of the gym, and I had to text him. I'm like, I just had to leave. But they've won 6 of their last 8, including a huge win when they needed it to upset Georgetown Eastview, who was undefeated, first place in that district. So they get that, and they sneak into the playoffs. And that's just one of these teams now, is like when you go from 0-3 and you're just fighting, scrapping, forget winning district, forget finishing second, just get in. And that's all they've accomplished that goal. And with the way Makai Bryant, one of the top unsigned seniors in Texas, the athleticism, the approach to the game, his scoring, you have a guy like that to lead you to battle the way he's playing right now. This Pflugerville Weiss team, alongside Brian Phelps as well, they're playing some high-level basketball. New culture there with a new head coach. And there's just plenty of those teams across the state right now that are like, hey, just give us a chance and allow us to earn our way in, and whatever happens, happens. And those are some of the most dangerous teams. And Pflugerville Weiss winning 6 of their last 8, getting to the playoffs is a story that a lot of teams in Texas right now are going to get a chance to keep playing some basketball late in February.
Yeah, hey, let's mention right here, Masses. I mean, he couldn't, like we said, he couldn't make it today, but his notes on this one was, Tyler Legacy, which is on a 8-game winning streak. He feels like they're a dangerous team, and that they've just been playing a really, really good basketball here lately. And in district right now, they're 9-2, and they're a team that he doesn't want people to forget about. And so there's just so many scenarios, and just missing one voice right now on our show. I don't want to leave that thought out.
Absolutely, no, they're rolling as well. There's so many teams. We'll repost this segment on social media, and I want to tell us about other teams that are rolling right now, so that especially when we can go into our playoff bracket predictions and stuff like that, we have some ammo. Our next segment, one of our favorites, Recruit Him. Right now, we're going to advocate right on the show live. GASO, Blue, who you advocating for this week? Okay.
Elijah Black from Katy Jordan. I mean, what has this team not proven right now? Yes, they need to march toward a huge playoff run, but As we speak, Elijah Black is one of their leading players on the court each and every night. Defensive Player of the Year in District 19 6A. They're sitting with a 14-1 record, 29-3 overall. He's out on the court averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists a game. And his assisted turnover ratio is a 3.34. So, I mean, this is a guy that's very efficient. He's efficient on the field goal. From the floor offensively. He really does a great job, and I've seen them recently that he hits the gaps. He's making easy layups in transition. When you're giving him a chance to set up on the outside, he's going to either drive in, pull up for some mid-range jumpers, or hit the three. Like he's just it's the entire I think program that allows him to be one of the best players there because he's a senior, he's a leader. They look for him, and Coach Jones is. I mean, his attention to detail in as many wins as they have had over the last 3 years is really feeding into these kids and they're getting the most out of their ability. And Elijah Black needs a guy that you need to start recruiting.
Absolutely. Lyndon, who's your guy?
Yeah, I'll go with the guy who I watched just dominate last week, and that's Mike Collins from Alvin Shadow Creek. Tuned into them against Pearland, and that's basically a district championship game where Pearland can force a split and at least get a share of the district title. And like, without being disrespectful, I think he was just toying with them. He was hitting, dribble moves, dribble weapons, get to the paint, whip a pass to the corner, looking for his best, cross step back combination, and was just all over the place. Defensively, offensively, he's got the frame to be a Division I prototypical guard. He can make shots. He's a physical finisher. I just think this kid, he's the highest ranked uncommitted kid, unsigned senior in the 2025 class. And there's got to be somebody who in this playoff run with Shadow Creek going Division II, which opens the door, for like they're probably the first or second favorite to win the Division II state championship in 6A if we had to lay odds on it today. During this run, college coaches, you have to get your eyes on him because he belongs at the Division I level, and you're missing out if he's not on your radar.
No, absolutely. When you were texting me about that Shadow Creek Pearland game, the way you were describing what Mike Collins was doing, I'm glad you're advocating for him right now. For me, Greg Lawson of Oak Cliff Faith Family, still fairly new to Texas. You come down from Michigan and you play on this powerhouse that Faith Family is, and they're taking this show on the road across the country, playing in high-level games, and he's showing that he's a guy that needs to have all eyes on him. Playing alongside King Grace, David Atkins, Tashim Gary, and others on that team. His approach, and I saw it early on, because I was one of the first ones, who's that kid? Oh, that's the kid from Michigan, and right away, spotlight's on him. And he's a bucket. He's a dog, and I don't call a lot of players dogs unless they earn it. But his just approach to the game and his ability to score the ball. He's a Division I guy that continues to play really well on the high-level stage. So Greg Lawson, especially for all these college coaches that call us all the time, and they're like, hey, we want to recruit Texas. We want to recruit Texas. This kid's fairly new to Texas, but get your eyes on him before it's too late. So to finish this week, we're going to start doing a new segment all the way up till March 2nd, our GASO Next Gen. GASO Next Gen's prospect previews. We're going to give one name each week. And this week, let's start you off, Lyndon.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Avery Moses, stealing masses since he can't be on. But basically, this guy, he's must-see TV. He's a shot maker with great size, good frame. The 2027 class plays at Eagle Mountain, a new school, so he's playing with a very young varsity team when I saw him at the Whataburger. But this guy, I think he's got a real chance. I mean, he started out in the top 25 in our initial 2027 rankings, but he's one that I've kind of earmarked that can climb because of his ability to score and the physical tools that he has to go with that.
Blue?
Yeah, Monte Ellis from Prosper Walnut Grove with 2028. He's a player that has a great instincts already at such a young age. He's really looking to kind of read the offense when he's on defense and go after that ball. And he gets a lot of transition layups out of it. I mean, he's great instincts, and I'm ready to kind of see that out there on the court in a couple of weeks. And he's a guy that gets the ball out there very quickly. He's going to start the break, yes, but he gets it out of his hands and looks up the court to get it to his cutters, his guys that are running the lane. So lots to like at a very young age right now, and I'm ready for him to make the next steps.
No, absolutely. For me, Alex Aluga, Frisco Liberty, he's just the perfect kind of prospect to absolutely destroy this camp. We've run a ton of camps, and motor and strength plus what he's doing at the varsity level right now is just a recipe for us to walk away from that camp being like, nobody can do anything with him. Now, luckily, I build the roster, so I'm going to try to make this thing interesting for him, because there's a lot of dudes that I'm already ready to throw his way, but it just might not be enough because just that type of, like I said, the motor, the footwork inside, I'm super excited to watch what he's going to be able to do at our camp. Each week, like I said, we're going to talk about prospects that will be at the camp. So continue to sign up. Over 100 people already, up to I think 115 now. There's nowhere else to be in Texas on March 2nd at the GASO Next Gen Showcase. So I appreciate y'all letting me host this week. Mass will be back, and I think all four of us will be back next week. Be on the lookout for a ton of content. Playoffs are going to be here. Every scenario possible is going to happen. But until next time, I'm Michael Timmons, Linden Blue. We will see y'all next time.